things to keep right.
Hey everyone, welcome to Prepare to Go There, the most overlooked and underrated coaching conversation that we can be a part of today. And that's my opinion, but I'm convinced that our future deserves our focus. My name is Peter, and it is a joy to go on this extended coaching journey with you. And this is going to be a really cool way to finish season 1, and I'll be explaining what I mean in a little bit. But welcome back or welcome aboard. It's great to see each of you, all of you, back. And just a shout out to Joshua. Thanks for saying hi in the chat, as always. And we want to get into this because there is a lot of ground to cover. And so welcome to the future frontier. Did you know that your future is not going to pioneer itself? No, you have God-given dreams, God-given purpose, and you've got to go after it. And so that's why we are here to put in the necessary unnoticed preparation. We're not waiting on everybody's attention, everybody's approval. We're just going to keep our head down. We're going to keep doing the right thing again and again and again, trusting that when we show up, we'll show up ready. Whatever is coming next, we have time today to prepare. And I believe that we can be a part of a better future, that we're heading towards a better future. And it's because we have better promises. And so we can't quit on them. We can't forget them. We have to go for them. And so it's my observation, my thesis of sorts during this video podcast that most people just don't know how to lead others into a better future, even if they are recognized as a leader. You can have a team and not be able to lead. You can have a title and not really be leading. See, team and title are good, but that's not at the core what it means to be a leader or to lead someone into a better future. What makes the difference is, can you lead yourself into that better future first? And so that's the heart and the passion, is to empower each of us, all of us, to do the necessary unnoticed work to lead ourselves. And when we embrace the onus of self-leadership, we're going to be empowered to lead others into a better future as well. I grew up with the saying, you can't take people somewhere you've never been. And so each one of us, we have time today to figure out, how do you lead yourself? And if we have, identified with these better futures, then how would we stay focused for the long haul and then lead others there faithfully? So that's why we're talking about self-leadership. We've been doing it now 95 days consecutively. Weekdays, I took, I think, 1 or 2 weeks off for scheduled vacation, but it has been just a steady preparation process, just talking here, there, everywhere about mindset, worldview, life skills, skill sets, leadership, productivity, on and on, just a variety of fun and important topics. And so this week is going to be no different. If this resonates with you, if you're a leader, if you want to grow in self-leadership, if you want to go the distance, make a difference, then I want to invite you, be a part of this community, the email community. is the Future Friends. And I send an email out once a week with all of this coaching content on the channel, and share it for free just to say thank you. And it's my way of encouraging you, just kind of keeping you company while you go on this leadership journey. And so I want you to join the Future Friends email community, particularly now more than ever, because there are some awesome projects and opportunities that are coming up. There's a big mile marker that's coming up. It is the conclusion of season 1. Episode 100 is coming, and I'm so excited uh, to arrive and to have more ideas, more content, more success stories, more strategies than I started with. And I think that's the idea of, think long, run strong. And so that's going to be a big milestone. And in honor of this 100th live stream, we're going to be doing some fun things, such as our future focused leadership mastermind. It's going to be Saturday morning, right after Future Friday. Prepare to go there 100. We're going to celebrate the 100th live stream. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll come right back live in a leadership mastermind. This is going to be a different learning environment. It's not just me sharing content, interacting in the chat. It's going to be a full-blown group coaching leadership mastermind, and it's going to be guided through 6 strategic conversations. We're going to be going through 3 hours of really just leadership development, future focused preparation. And, it's motivated by this realization that the days go slow, but the years go fast. And so we've got to make the most of every day and every moment we get. And maybe you're like me and you're like, wow, where did the year go? You can't approach your year reactively. You have to be proactive, and you can't just bank on doing the same thing every year, living the same way every year. I'm glad for consistency. I'm thankful for, some of the norms and traditions that keep us going due, true north. But honestly, I don't want to plateau in 2022. I want to take on the new year and go after new territory with friends and leaders and teams. And so that's the mindset, that's the motive behind the future focused leadership mastermind. A lot of us know what we want to do, with the future, but the future is still abstract and it's not actionable. It's more of just an idea out there, and we've got to figure out, how do we make it personal? How do we make it practical? And that's what the future focus leadership mastermind is going to do. I can't take this whole conversation and talk about it, but I just want you to know it's going to be great. It's going to be worth the time. It's going to be worth the registration. It's going to be worth just the company alone of all of these amazing people that are going to pull together. And it's a celebration of over 100 hours of free self-leadership coaching that's been going out to help people stay encouraged and stay focused on their future. So today we're going to be talking about collect your gains. And the reason I wanted to do this is because obviously this will be the conclusion of season 1. It's been a great run, and I think there's a natural ebb and flow with both the calendar as well as with seasons of life. And I want to be respectful of that. And I don't want to overdo things And I realized that downtime can be leveraged for game time. And so I'm already dreaming, I'm already planning, I'm already identifying with what the next season can look like. And in order to do that, we're going to have to trust that stopping intentionally, strategically is actually going to set us up for new and fun things to come. So really, this phrase, collect your gains, hey, this has been great conversation. Let's collect our gains. Hey, we've had a great work day. Let's collect our gains. Hey, it's been a great month. Let's collect our gains. It's really about stopping successfully. A lot of times we don't like to stop. We don't like to let down. We just keep going, going, going. The fast paced nature of life is just ongoing. And while it is good, to be consistent, to be faithful, there are natural rhythms that help us stay healthy, that help us stay grounded, that help us even level up. And if we don't trust that stopping is good for us in strategic ways, then we can just end up with burnout and end up with overwork. So let's get into some of these ideas. You may have heard of the phrase collect your gains, maybe not. Maybe you've heard these phrases: don't wear out your welcome. When you're visiting company and man, it's going so great. And you say, man, I don't want to wear out our welcome. Thanks so much. We're going to, head out later, sooner than later. Maybe you've heard this phrase, finish on a high note, right? Finish on a high note. Man, this has been so good. Let's finish on a high note. Boom, we're out. Here's another way to describe what we're talking about. Stop before you get stuck. Stop before you get stuck. Now, this is the classic example that I think we can admit to. You're doing work all day long and you are, physically tired, emotionally spent, and you just kind of just looking for some sort of outlet to just kind of hang or, just to kind of let down. So what do? You get on social media or you watch movies or whatever. And if we're not careful, if we don't say, hey, it's been a good day, it's time to like shut things down. It's time to get some rest, like real sleep. What can happen is we just have this itch to keep going. And we're just kind of restless. We've had this full long day. So our maybe our better judgment has been spent for that day. And if we're not careful, we'll just keep scrolling. We'll just keep watching. We'll just keep going. And we won't know how to tell ourselves stop. We'll just keep driving past the finish line, and every minute, hour after that point is sabotaging the next day, sabotaging the week ahead, sabotaging our rest. And we'll say, man, I don't know what happened. I'm just really overworked. No, you don't have boundaries. Well, they're just really on my case. No, you didn't manage your time. And there are natural stopping points in our day where we have to just kind of throw our hands up and say, hey, I'm out of time, but I'm letting go temporarily because I'm trusting that there will be another time. And if I can honor the time I was given, maybe I'll, get ready to show up bright and brave for the next new day. So there is a point in the timeline where you just get maxed out, and that's okay. But what you do at that moment matters. One of the most productive things you and I can do is notice when we're not being productive. One of the kindest things we can do for other people is notice when we're out of sorts, and to gracefully bow out before we say something we don't mean, before we do something we're going to regret, before something happens that, goes sideways. Like, use some discernment, use some practical wisdom, and don't be draining out all of your better judgment. Learn how to honor your time, learn how to stop, so that way you can start again strong. What you do in those moments when you hit those natural stopping points, what you do, will you honor that, or will you keep going past it? What you do will either cause a breakdown or a breakthrough. A breakdown or a breakthrough. I mean that. That's not just, you know, wordsmithing. There are times in your day where you have to say, this is it. I'm done. And I'm going to trust that what I did was good for today. And I'm going to stop, because if I keep going past this natural boundary of time, energy, or whatever, I could lose the momentum I was working on. I could lose time in the future. I could lose worse. I could lose, I don't know, your reputation. I could lose my reputation if I go, and that's an extreme example, but the point is, when and how do you learn how to collect your gains, to say, hey, I'm going to stop now strategically so that I can be ready for the next day, the next round, another opportunity. Now, this is probably not what you hear all the time. And I'm kind of externally processing this for the first time as I go, but I felt kind of almost symbolically at the last week of prepare to go there. And it might seem a bit counterintuitive. It's like, why are you stopping now? You're just getting started. You just launched a video podcast. You said you're here for the long haul. You said that, you want to keep going, keep growing. You said, make a difference, go the distance. I mean, come on, Peter, 100, that's it. I know some people, they've gone even further with their video podcast. Why are you stopping? It's not an ultimate stop. It is a strategic pause. And we need these strategic pauses in our day, in our week, in our month, in our year. And that's not just to say, oh, I need a vacation. It's to say, if we're going to be willing to honor those rhythms, those ebb and flows of life, then we can be aware of what is important in that moment. We can steward it, we can focus on it, and then we can show up ready and stronger next time. We don't hear this. We hear like, don't quit, don't stop. You've even heard me say, keep going, keep growing. And these are good phrases. They encourage us to be patient, to be persistent, even resilient. But there is a difference. I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm saying, yes, be patient. Yes, be consistent. Yes, be faithful. But there are natural, healthy, good stopping points. And if you go past that natural, healthy, needed stopping point, you could break down. You could break down in more ways than one. And we want to steward what's been given to us so that way we can reinvest it wisely at the right time. So another way to say this is, before you stop, learn to finish. Some of us, we stop because we basically pass out from the day. It's like we just go, 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 go until we don't have any more gas in the tank or any more electricity in the battery, right, for your electric vehicle. But you're not supposed to just break down at the end of the day or at the end of your life. You're supposed to finish something. Finish your work, finish your day, finish your calling, finish your responsibilities, your passion, your life's work. Finish. Don't just pass out, roll over. Don't just keep going until you break down. Be strategic about how you're going to pace yourself. Be strategic about the ebb and flow of your life and leverage downtime as game time to prepare for the next new. Now, I love this quote. My wife actually passed it on to me. She said, "Don't stop until you're finished. Don't stop until you're proud. Don't stop until you have done a good job, until you've really put excellence into your project." And that kind of speaks to this idea: before you stop, collect your gains. Before you stop a day, a conversation, um, a project, a commitment, learn to actually finish it. Learn how to collect your gains. Learn how to see the value that's already been given and take care of that value so that way you don't squander it, you don't spoil it, you don't waste it, you don't overlook it, you don't minimize it. You actually value what has already happened because there's something in those gains that you're going to reinvest into the future. Now, I hope I'm encouraging you on multiple levels because this can be done practically, it can be done personally, professionally, it could be done spiritually. I mean, in all kinds of ways. I'm going to give you the example that kind of tipped me off to this best practice. I'm inspired by Jesus. He's amazing, and he modeled this in a story, a real story, and we can read about this story in John chapter 6, verse 12. And Jesus had just done this amazing miracle where he multiplied food. I mean, just to be in that moment is just awesome to think about. And so there's all these people and they're hungry and there's not enough food even to go around one family. And instead, he does this miracle and he multiplies the food and everyone's happy and everybody's fed. But then he says, kind of almost unexpectedly, he says, "Okay, that's great. Now gather all the fragments, collect all the gains. Everything that's been multiplied out, don't waste it. Don't waste it." And I think it would kind of be silly in the way they heard it because they're like, "What are you talking about? You literally just multiplied food. It's not like you can't do it again." And he's like, "Yes, I did multiply all that food, but don't miss the principle. Don't squander what happened here. Respect what happened here. And if there's any gains left over, if there's anything that, is still here, let's collect those gains." So that's a principle. I've said it this way before. You're not finished today until you're ready for tomorrow. You're not finished today until you're ready for tomorrow. We do this all the time, right? We work until we're exhausted, and then we don't think about the next day. We just roll out. We're chunk and deuce or whatever you say, and we're out of there. And we didn't think about how can we collect our gains that day so that way we can reinvest it into the next day. You're not finished today until you're ready for tomorrow. This idea, collect your gains, is similar to that. The only difference I would highlight now is the emphasis is more on evaluating when and how you're going to finish well. You've got to be okay with stopping. You got to be okay with saying, "Hey, man, I honestly didn't do as much as I wanted to today, but I just have to admit I wasn't as productive as I should have been. I'm not going to feel guilty and try to just bleed over into other time, which would be family time or rest time or workout time or study time. I'm going to admit I didn't do as much as I wanted to, but I'm going to trust the process and I'm not going to sabotage the next opportunity to do this work. I'm going to show up again. I'll be fresh. And I realize there are consequences for my choices. And so I'm going to make the most next time. Knowing when to stop, knowing how to stop. So that way you really take those moments seriously and you're not just pretending like you can do whatever you want whenever you want. You say, no, I actually have to steward my time well. And that's why I'm not going to just stop and drop everything and move on to the next thing, but I'm actually going to work at finishing well in little ways and in big ways. And and in those moments, I'm going to respect what's happening by collecting those gains, by working on taking care of all those loose ends. So that way, when I go into the next thing, I'm present. And when I go into the next cycle, I am prepared. So collect your gains means before you finish, don't move on to the next thing before you have identified and secured the value of that moment. And I'll give examples a little bit. There are many times we don't do this. Many times we just want to keep going and we don't want to stop. We don't want to stop working. We don't want to stop um, playing. We don't want to stop sleeping in the morning. And that's what happens is we are overdoing those natural time budgets, those natural boundaries. We're oversleeping too late. That bumps into a rushed morning, late work, crazy emotions, whatever. We're overdoing these self controls that keep us in a healthy space, that keep us productive, that keep us creative, that keep us relational. There's many times we don't do this, and maybe it's because we're mad that all that time's been gone or wasted. We don't want to admit it. Maybe we're tired, and somehow, I don't know how that works, but somehow you can be tired and still restless, right? Sometimes we are just rushed at the end of the day or rushed at the end of something, and we're just trying to escape, trying to get out, but we're not finishing well. We're not collecting our gains. We're just kind of leaving it all hanging. We're just kind of leaving it as is. And then you got to pick up all those pieces later on when it is inconvenient. And if we don't steward that, then that becomes dead weight that's going to be hanging on us the next time we show up. So, a question: how are you going to better detect the starting points and the stopping points in your day? How are you going to better detect, better notice the start and stops so that way you're not just kind of, you know, trying to power through everything, but you're actually hitting rhythm and you're finding strides. You're getting in that flow. You're working at the pace of grace, and you're not just trying to strive or struggle because you think that you deserve more or you didn't do enough, or whatever. So, how are we going to detect the natural stopping points? For example, the natural stopping point at the end of the meeting. I mean, you can have a structured meeting. You can say, hey, we're going to be together for 60 minutes and we want to accomplish X, Y, and Z. And it's on the meeting agenda. And we're going to work to make decisions. And we're going to work to, collaborate and communicate in an effective way. And then it's always, I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's always like the last 10% of the meeting. It's like things just start going crazy and it's like fireworks or ricochets. And it's like we feel that nervous energy at the last 10% of the meeting. And we want to say, oh, but what about? And the meeting can go off the rails. And this good meeting that you had can get capsized by an unwillingness to admit time's up. We say, no, no, no. Well, this is most important. We got to keep talking. This is most important. You say, well, wait, if it is most important, why didn't it show first in the meeting? We do the same thing with our work sessions. Can we better detect a natural stopping point at the end of a work session? It's always the last 10% of the workday, right? And all these things start spiraling out of control and things are flying here, there, everywhere. And that can get you bent out of shape. You can lose time, waste time. I mean, it's hilarious. I operate in a ministry context. And whenever you're having, gatherings or events, it's so funny how long it takes to actually shut down, how long it actually takes to leave and get out of the room to your car. It's like you're hanging out, you're talking a little bit. Oh yeah, I remember that thing. Let's go back over here. And then you do it again. And then as you're going back to get the thing you forgot, then 2, 3, 4 more conversations come up. Come on, somebody knows I'm preaching good. Like, do you know the natural stopping point? And say, hey, we're going to honor the time that was given. And and I'm not talking specifically about services because that is a fun conversation in of itself. But you have to learn how to honor the time you were given. Okay, how do we detect the good stopping points in a day or on the phone or even, yes, in my context, in a sermon? See, if we keep going past that natural stopping point, things will unravel. And everything we work to build up, we can lose out. We can miss. It'll get muddy or murky. It's like if we're trying to say a point, don't say something. I mean, I'm still working on this, right? But don't say something in 60 minutes that you could say in 20 minutes, right? And don't say something, and vice versa, right? Don't say something in 2 minutes that needs to be processed and developed in a longer time. So regardless of the time length, learn to honor the time you have, honor the time you are given, because I really believe that there is a time for everything. So many people say, well, there's just not enough time. Well, then you need to go do an audit on your time and see what is sabotaging your peace, your rest, your focus, your key relationships, your responsibilities, your life's work. You need to go audit it because you do have enough time to do everything you need. You need to grow in practical wisdom and figure out, how do I make the most of the time I have? There is a time to invest. There is a time to gain. And then there is a time to stop and collect your gains. I want to give you 3 ways to collect your gains. Hopefully, we're going to make this practical. The first one is I want you to practice honoring your time and do these three things. Collect your gains gratefully. Gratefully. See, when we are ungrateful for how much time we had to work on a project, how much time we got to talk to a friend, how much time we really had in a meeting with people, we try to hoard more time. And instead of admitting, I apologize, I was not prepared for the meeting. I apologize. I tried to overload the conversation with too much of my life updates. I didn't take enough time to hear about you or hear where you are or see how I could help you. I was a little too self-absorbed in the moment and I wasted some of our time. We don't admit that. We just try to hoard more and more time and we send off these bad social signals and we act ungrateful. We're like, what are you talking about? We've already given time to this. So there are there are moments where you have to gratefully stop and say, "Hey, we're done for now. We're done for now. We'll find another time to pick up." And if you kept powering through, if you kept punching at it, if you kept going, you might lose the opportunity to have another time. But if you handled that stopping point correctly, you have a much better chance, a much better probability, so to speak, of having another time. And honestly, I mean, even from a Christian worldview, we're not promised tomorrow. You have to redeem the time you have. You have to steward the time you have well. So collect your gains gratefully. Man, whenever you're in a conversation and they say, "Hey man, I apologize," or "Hey friend, I apologize, I gotta go." Don't say, "We just got started. What are you talking about? I had four more things I had to run by you." I mean, this can happen with family, with friends, with coworkers, with relatives. This could happen in a lot of contexts, and you have to be grateful and say, "You know what? Thanks so much. If you gave me 2 minutes, I'm grateful for the 2 minutes. If you gave me 20 minutes, I'm grateful for if you gave me 2 hours, I'm grateful for that." Somehow we get this entitlement attitude and we think that all these people don't have a life. And yeah, you may be a big part of their life, but you're still just a part of their life. So be grateful and keep a good attitude. If you keep a good attitude and you collect the gains and you say, "Hey, thanks so much. Let's collect our gains right now. This is what we decided. This is what we're going to talk about next time. See you later." Man, you can you can really do damage if you don't honor some of these natural cues of starting and stopping. And if you have a challenge, if you really struggle with stopping, it's probably because you're stalling on things you know to do and you're not starting soon enough. Maybe you do struggle with procrastination. That's what this whole thing has been about, right? Prepare to go there, a lifestyle of preparation, overcoming a lifetime of procrastination. So be grateful. Next, I want you to collect your gains thoroughly. Thoroughly. This is where we're closing up the loose ends. This is where we're focused on finishing. How do we actually finish? I don't just want to stop. I want to finish. I don't just want to stop talking. I want to finish the conversation. I don't just want to stop the workday. I want to finish my projects. I don't just want to stop the work week, whatever it is. I want to finish this. I got to collect my gains because I may not have this opportunity again like this. And if I do this correctly, when I show up again, I'll have an investment, not a deficit. And at the end of the day, right, at the end of that cycle, whatever that is, conversation, meeting, project, whatever, we get depleted. We get too spent, and then we're not making good choices because now we're just kind of like, and we're just kind of out of sorts. And that self-control is designed to keep you in a safe space so you don't blow your time and blow your energy and blow your integrity, to be blunt. And you got to walk in a measure of self-control and say, you know what? I'm not going to get it all done in a day. I'm going to trust. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be persistent. I'm going to keep swinging. And we just need to stop. We need to stop as is. Be thorough. When you're careless, when you're tired, don't miss the big things. Don't just check out. Have a checklist. Don't just check out, have a checklist. Say, okay, what does done mean? Do you have a definition of done? Do you know what finished feels like? And work. When you're tracking your time, you say, oh, whoa, I only have, 30 minutes left. I got to really make this count. I have to communicate. I have to let people know, hey, I have 30 minutes. Is it always perfect every time? No, but you have to be respectful of your time, of other people's time. All right, then the last one is collect your gains intentionally. Just plan on things to mushroom out of hand the last 10% of your day, your conversation, your whatever. I mean, for me, even on these live streams, I feel like some of the best stuff comes out in the last few minutes because I'm feeling the pressure and it's like, okay, I'm trying to get it all out, and that's okay. But be intentional when you feel rushed for time. Don't skip out, but slow down, buffer the last few minutes to say, no, I'm going to just pause and I'm going to collect my gains, make sure I don't just blow out of this conversation, this meeting, this whatever. I'm going to finish effectively. What do I actually need to do to be finished? Here's what is at stake. Not collecting your gains can lead you into overwork, burnout, and lost time. I'm talking about next time, in the future, because if you waste time that should have been focused on family, on resting, on working out, on whatever, study time, prayer time, whatever it is, you're just pushing back everything else in the future. Now, here are some case study questions I want you to work through. And I have a list, so feel free to take notes and list this out. First one, how will you collect your gains at the end of a conversation? How will you collect your gains at the end of a conversation? Here are two things I want to recommend. And I want you to figure this out and think about this intentionally. Remember, I talked about collect your gains intentionally. Ask yourself, okay, how will we collect our gains at the end of a conversation? Think about it. Practice it. If you get into a conversation and you didn't like it, diagnose it, develop it, work on it, make it better. Here are two things you can do to collect your gains at the end of a conversation. Number one, summarize it. Summarize the conversation. Don't just keep going and adding on more topics and more questions and just kind of muddy the water with more stuff. Say, hey, we're getting close to the end of this conversation. In fact, that's one thing I've tried to practice for, the past few years. Whenever I talk to someone, I say, hey, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so thankful we get to do coffee. I'm so thankful we have this meeting. I'm so thankful. Thank you for your time. How much time do we have? Man, I try to put that expectation right up front. Or if somebody comes talking to me, I say, hey, I'm so happy to see you. I have about 20 minutes. And put that time expectation up front. And then when you get to the 15-minute mark of that, let's use that example. You say, hey, we're getting close to the end. I want to respect your time. I appreciate it. Let's collect our gains. Or you could say, hey, we're getting close to the end of this, conversation. Are we still stopping, or do you want to extend the time? Can we extend 10 more minutes? Ask, get that permission, get that buy-in. But let's say you do reach that natural stopping point and you say, hey, we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to collect our gains right now. I literally use that language in our meetings nowadays. Hey, this has been a great meeting, but we're getting close to the end. So let's collect our gains. I just want to summarize what's already been decided. What's already been decided is this and this and this. And you have to learn how to summarize. Summarizing is a skill set. At the end of the day, summarize the high points of your day in a journal. At the end of the week, summarize the high points, what got done, what got decided in your weekly planning session. You got to practice this. And we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to finish. What do? We get in the house, we drop the bag wherever it lands, we kick off the shoes wherever they go. We don't think about resetting to ready. And this is just a very micro example. But then you wake up the next day, maybe you overslept because you stayed up too long, because there's a pattern. Have you noticed there's a pattern? You have to lead yourself. You have to walk in self-control. You have to grow in this. And then you wake up over late, blah, 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 and you're rushing around. Oh man, where'd that other shoe go? Where did my backpack go again? Right? Because it wasn't intentional. It was just kind of reactive. So summarize at the end of a conversation, and then try to use the last 2% to reinvest in the relationship. Don't finish by talking about yourself. Don't finish with venting. Don't finish, because that's the last impression you're going to give somebody when you hang up or when you, finish that round. So finish with gratitude, finish with appreciation, finish with some sort of follow-up. Say, hey, I can't wait to keep this conversation going. I'll let you know in the next 2 days when we can meet again. Reinvest in that relationship. Add to that conversation. Say, let's keep this up somehow. Now, I'm just kind of spitballing ideas, but I'm saying, how would you collect your gains? For instance, at the end of a conversation. Another one, how do you collect your gains at the end of a meeting? That might be a little more structured. You might have different things that you incorporate. You may say, okay, these are the deliverables. This is what everybody's responsible for. Let me hear, what you heard and what you will do. Okay, I will. Okay, great. That's the plan. We're going to put this, in the project manager. We're going to put this on the calendar. We are going to have another weekly meeting. We want to hear updates on all this. We're here for you all week long. I mean, you might get a little more structured with it. But all I'm trying to do is stimulate you and encourage you and get you thinking about what would finishing look like at the end of a conversation, the end of a meeting, the end of a work session. I mean, literally, you can make a work shutdown checklist. A work shutdown checklist. Doesn't mean you're going to be, perfect on your batting average, but it's intentional. There's something to aim for. Do things that work, do things that help. And if you keep doing it, you could be saving time. You could be force multiplying your effort. Because I'm telling you, you're draining towards the end of that session. And you guys, okay, man, I've only got a little bit more time to wrap things up, to close up loose ends. Let me maximize this last 2%, 5% of the work session, work day. How would you collect your gains at the end of a bigger project? Let's say you have a project that's multiple weeks long. Man, you've been living, breathing, sleeping in this work project or this big goal, and you finally got it done. Like me, here I am kind of finishing up season 1. It's been, 20 plus week commitment. Man, I got to figure out, how am I going to collect my gains? I'm going to give you an example about that later on in the week. But Bigger projects shouldn't just be dropped. Bigger projects should be invested in the future. How can you be a good finisher so that way it's waiting on you? The success is waiting on you in the future. Okay, here's the last example I have for now. And this is perfect because this just goes with our time and with our everything. So I'm thankful. Okay. Because really what you're saying is you're not patient. That's kind of what it comes down to. If you don't know how to stop today, it's because you don't want to keep doing this tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. You gotta just say, hey, I'm gonna check out for now, but it's not permanent. I'm believing, I'm hoping, I'm leaning forward. All right. How will you collect your gains digitally? Digitally, man, that's a practical one. That could take this is actually going to be when we go into on Wednesday. We'll do collect your gains each month. Okay. And one of the things I do each month is I archive things, I organize digital files and folders, and all these live streams, man, they're adding up in the gigabytes. So I got to figure out, okay, how do I shuffle this and organize this? And if you don't know how to collect your gains and organize it well, it will rot away. You're not stewarding all that stuff you did, all that stuff you talked about, all that stuff you worked on, all that stuff you were going for because you just kind of moved on to the next thing. No, collect your gains, be a finisher, steward the value in the moment you just had, and figure out how are you going to reinvest it into the future. So what systems can you use when your storage is maxed out, when your pictures, your graphics, your files, your videos, whatever? How are you going to keep that a well-oiled machine so that way your workflow doesn't get stuck, right? You want to learn, how do you stop before you get stuck? We'll talk about this more tomorrow, but when you run out of time, you have to reassure yourself that if you do things correctly, there will and can be another time. All right, so let's finish. I want to finish with just giving you a preview, a calendar preview, and a call to action. Have you enjoyed this conversation? You think it's going to be a fun one for the week? All right. Today we got to introduce the big idea, collect your gains. Pause. Be intentional. Be grateful. Be thorough with the time you had. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about collecting your gains each day. So a little more detail, a little more of just the personal side of things. Wednesday, we're going to talk about collect your gains each month. That is big. That's what a lot of us just don't even think about. But there are systematic things we can be trying, we can be working on month-wise, because we're probably just not aware of these big cycles that are happening. Okay. And then kind of my goal, kind of my summit that I'm climbing towards, we'll get to on Thursday. Collect your gains each year. How do you finish the year? How do you finish the year effectively? And then how would you reinvest all those gains from the past year into the new year, the next year? And then Friday, please make it a point to come out on Friday, be a part of the Future Friday, the 100th live stream. Prepare to go there, kind of the season finale. It's going to be great. And then Saturday, the next day on the 20th, this Saturday, will be our future focused leadership mastermind. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. And I hope you hear my heart. I mean, I show up every day for y'all. I show up every day just to encourage people, to share what I'm learning. Man, it's been rocking my world. It's been helping me. Honestly, a lot of the core ideas are really just coming out of my own faith journey with the Lord. But there's a lot of practical stuff that I think can be talked about and needs to be talked about. So that way people are actually, taking action with these life choices, life changes that are going on. And so I've been inspired about just, being empowered personally and practically and sharing that with others. And I just want to share this with kind of hopefully a pure motive. But I mean, I show up every day to give good value. Some days I have a plan on paper. Some days I've journaled it and it's not organized, and so then I just kind of let it fly. But I'm getting better at that. But if you've enjoyed the value of the free podcast that's been going out, Prepare to Go There, then you can trust that the value of the leadership mastermind is going to be great too. So if you're watching Prepare to Go There live or replay, if you've enjoyed this, I want to remind you and encourage you, man, this leadership mastermind is for you. You're going to love getting ahead for 2022. The theme that, is just being shaped is taking new territory with a team in 2022. So if you remember the leadership journey that we're on, leading yourself, leading others, and then leading through others, self-leadership, servant leadership. And then if we do that right, then maybe we'll get to play on the high level of generational leadership. And I believe that's for every person. Every person can and should be thinking on that generational leadership level. But you can't just be talking big if you're not going to be practicing those first two levels of self-leadership and servant leadership. So this is us kind of collecting our gains, so to speak, from this time and from self-leadership and learning all this stuff about Prepare to Go There, leading yourself, staying focused on your future. And then we're going to put it in a different context. We're going to put it in a team context. So if you work with volunteers, if you have your own team, if you're a part of an organization, whatever it looks like, we want to take these principles, these best practices, and we want to try them, apply them, multiply them on 2022. And I'm just encouraging you, this is the best time to be thinking about 2022, not after the holidays, before the holidays. Because what you want to do is say, we've got a prayerful plan. We're going into the holidays now. There's an old Keith Green quote said, keep doing your best, pray that it's blessed, and he'll take care of the rest. And I've gotten into the practice of actually doing all of that annual planning before the holidays. And then I can actually rest. See what I'm saying? Same thing, collect your gains. You can actually enjoy the holidays, unplug, and then you can reconnect. You don't feel behind. You don't feel like you have to double down and work overtime during that family time. And then you can show up with stuff prepared. You've already been preparing it. Now, 2022 is now. I mean, you're making choices and decisions. You're putting things in place. And I'll show you practically kind of what that would look like in those 5 areas. Just please go check out the link and kind of see the content and the idea. And I know I'm kind of talking to the fam, the future friends fam here. I know y'all are already on board with this. So I'd love for y'all to recommend this mastermind to whoever you think would benefit from this kind of coaching. And then I want to mention that one of the bonuses that I wanted to give as a way of saying thank you is, if you sign up for the Future Focus Leadership Mastermind, you can include whoever you want as long as they are sharing your screen. So like, it's really helpful if you want to include your spouse in this and y'all want to take this on together. You want to take on, you want to bring in some leader friends, some people on your team. I love just kind of talking with leaders, coaching teams, and so it's fun when you can kind of pull together. But because of the software I'm using, um, which is this software, it does have limited screens, and I prefer the small group setting because we want to have that conversation. We want to, really make it personal, make it practical. So, alrighty, I am done for today. We will pick up again. I'll be sharing more specifically how I will be collecting the gains for Prepare to Go There, getting ready for kind of the next iteration of all this. And just really, really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. I'm blown away. I'm humbled. I'm inspired, and I just really appreciate each of you. So stay awesome. Keep going. Keep growing. Make every day count. Be thinking a few days ahead, a few decades ahead, because what you have needs to be taken seriously. Your value, your influence, your gifts, your dreams, the callings, they need to be taken seriously. They need to be taken to heart. And that's what motivates a lifestyle of preparation. I will see you tomorrow. Remember, prepare to go there.